One thing I just realized, we didn't go over synopsis.
For Star Wars? Homie, if you don't know the synopsis of a Star Wars game,
The entire movie, the entire saga is spoiled for you in this game.
Darth Vader is Luke's father.
No!
That's not true. That's
impossible.
impossible. Video games.
This one sucks.
Yeah, no kidding. This was possibly one of my worst gaming experiences I've had in a while. And the only joy of it was the fact that I got to do it with a friend.
Yeah.
But also, like, I kind of hope that at some point having a friend would help me see the light. But no, it didn't. No, it was not. It was not good.
This is not your grandfather's Lego Star Wars.
No, your grandfather's Lego Star Wars was nice, and they had yellow heads because they were classic Legos. This one has weird new mechanics that don't really make any sense and not a lot of content for player 2 to enjoy while they're playing it. But that is for later in the episode. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 6 of the Backlog Club.
Yeah.
Wow, I can't believe I just remembered that off the cuff.
Especially because we're definitely recording these in order.
Yeah. I'm like, I had to see the chart in my head and go, doot. The game we're talking about this week is Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. This was a highly anticipated game. I remember when it was coming out, it kept getting delayed, but people were really excited because the Lego games, at least for me, but I think I can speak for a lot of people when I say that these games have a special place in people's hearts.
Oh, yeah.
The original Lego Star Wars is a classic, and the original trilogy, which I know you liked quite a bit.
Yes.
We got Lego The Force Awakens, but they waited to do The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker until this game came out. They kind of were like, hey, we're going to repackage the whole thing, and you're going to go through the whole saga.
Well, they probably saw The Last Jedi and were like, no one's going to buy a solo Lego Star Wars The Last Jedi.
Really just want to get this out of the way. Jake and I are not fans of the sequel trilogy of Star Wars. Now, I don't think that necessarily had an impact on our experience with this game because we love the other two parts, the original trilogy and the prequels.
Yeah.
And if you don't like the prequels, that's okay. I understand. They're not the greatest movies ever made. In this game, we're not done justice, I feel. The original trilogy is probably the best chunk of the game.
Absolutely.
And the sequel trilogy, like the movies, just kind of drags on too long.
I did go back and play the complete saga a little bit, just the first couple missions of A New Hope. The original complete saga does not really follow the story of the movies as well as I thought. Because, like, you go through and you rescue C-3PO and R2-D2 instead of them just being bought by Luke and his family.
Right.
And, like, you're doing additional things that didn't happen in the movie, but it works and it feels good. And as much as I like just playing through the movie, it just fell very flat on this one. And it just, like, it was not very creative. The number one thing that I noticed the second that I hopped into the complete saga, we barely build any Legos in this game. Like, the complete saga, you're building Legos left and right. If there's a pad that you need to grapple to, you build it. If you need to, like, build a block so you can push it to set something up, you build it. You build everything. It's the Lego game. But in the Skywalker Saga, you hardly build. I think there's more building in the first section of A New Hope than there was in the entire story part of the Skywalker Saga.
Yeah. And don't comment being like, that's not true. You build 6 things in the first section and you build 12 or 13 or 15 things in the... It's hyperbole.
Yeah.
Okay? We're exaggerating to make a point.
I'm really not exaggerating, though. Like,
I
really don't remember building anything in the Skywalker Saga, and I swear I built at least 10 things in that first, just on was it Home 1? Is that the first ship in A New Hope that Leia's on?
Leia's blockade runner? No, that's the Tantive 4.
Well, on that ship alone, it felt like I built at least 10 things.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's Lego. Like, other than everybody being Legos and the world being in Lego form, this is not a Lego game at all.
Yeah. Well, and I think this one really suffers from, and this is a trend that happened with Lego games over the past few years. That wasn't it, it actually is what made Lego Batman 2 become one of my favorite, if or actually my favorite Lego game. But I think with this game, they relied too heavily upon it to kind of supplement the gameplay. And that is the collectathon aspect, which
Yeah.
is really not something we engaged with because we were experiencing this as someone would try to experience the complete or
Yeah.
the complete saga, like the old games, is you're playing through the movies again. That's kind of the point. You're playing through the movies in Lego form and going and seeing, what changes they made, what kind of humor they've injected because
Hmm.
especially in those older games they didn't have voice acting.
Yeah.
So a lot of the humor it was like physical slapstick.
Yeah.
There were good jokes and good writing in this. Don't get us wrong.
Yes.
We actually did bust out laughing
Several times.
several times because it's still got that Lego writing and Lego charm.
Yes.
But just the collectathon aspect, I think, was relied upon so heavily to supplement the gameplay that in turn, the actual story segments suffer. Like, I think there's only 6 levels per movie in
Hmm.
this, which isn't like
That's average for
tiny,
a complete saga. I think they're all 6 per
But-
movie.
but the levels are out there so fast. And you don't really do anything. You don't do a lot of building. Some of them, like in the end,
Dragged on.
dragged on. But the prequels, man, it really felt. I guess that was probably our slowest
I think the
section we went
sequels
through.
was pretty slow for me, at least.
Oh man,
I think just mentally because we were so drained by the end of our both sessions. So we did it in 2 days. We beat
because we're gamers.
the entire prequel trilogy day one, and that took us 4.5, 5 hours. Then it took us another 4.5 hours to do the original trilogy the next day, and then we also did another 4.5 hours of the sequel trilogy immediately after.
Yeah.
It was brutal.
I think I was most upset after the first day because I love the prequels. I love that era of Star Wars.
Hmm.
And I really just think they did those games dirty. Like they picked some of the weirdest sections
Yeah.
to highlight. And like other sections, like the Battle of Geonosis when you're fighting the 3 monsters as Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Padme.
Yeah.
Like you barely even got to do that. Like I remember in the complete saga, like it was like a fight to fight like the big it's
Mhm.
not a praying mantis, but it's like a big insect looking thing that makes that weird, creepy, like "Wah" noise. It was stale and dull. And
Yeah.
like even fighting those monsters and then even playing as the Jedi. Like
It did feel a little stale. It was like the factory before it was really boring. That was before it, right?
yeah, the factory was
Yeah.
right before.
And because it's just like you're bouncing back between the droids and then Anakin and Padme. But then even though I'm doing the droids or you were doing the droids or whatever, we were each opposite group. We were still waiting for the other person to do their thing.
Yeah.
So then I could do my thing and you could wait. And it's just like, what?
I mean, I literally pulled out my phone during those sections.
Yeah.
Because I was like, all right, well, I just have to wait. There was no combat. And combat was one of the actual really fun parts of the game. Like when
Yeah.
you got to do it and they didn't die in like 2 hits.
Yeah.
And that was like, I know battle droids are not the most intimidating thing in the world, but like a whole war is being waged with these things.
Yes.
And I've seen in the shows they could have introduced like the commando droids or something, just move some things around
Yeah.
to make it a little bit more challenging. But man, it was just the pacing is way off. The gameplay pacing is way off in this game. And so is the story pacing. It just feels it's weird.
But going back to the big fight, like the thing that Clone Wars is known for, in my opinion, is or not
Attack of the
Attack of
Clones.
the Clones. Thank you. It is that big, giant, every Jedi is there fight in the arena,
Mm-hmm.
and
This is the start of the Clone Wars.
the only highlight of it was we had some weird glitch where when
Holy crap. That
we
was
killed
so funny.
someone or we used the force on something.
No.
And I've got a clip of it that I'm going to play right now. Sorry, audio listeners, but the slowdown with Jango Fett just slowly creeping in during the cutscene, and there's just nothing we can do about it. And then the game crashes, and we have to do it all over again.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It was because you were hitting the monster, and
Oh,
that would trigger the slowdown.
yeah.
And then like you kept hitting it in slow mo, which then kept like prolonging the slow
Yeah.
mo.
I
And
was doing it mid cutscene for Jango Fett to pop in, and it's just like we're just stuck.
it's wild.
And then it froze, and we're like, okay, gotta start over again.
Yeah, after like what that was that would have been 3 hours at that point.
Yeah.
3 hours of us kind of just being like, okay, when's this game gonna pick up? Like,
Yes.
because I had told Jake, because I played it before. This was my second playthrough. I told him, I'm like, this game is great.
Yeah.
I
It's his
love this
fault.
game. And I suggested, I was like, we should do that one. That should be our first co-op game. I think that'll be great.
Yeah.
And then, or not our first co-op game because we record these out of order.
Yeah.
It should be. It was the first one we played together.
Yeah, because we're still yet to play Mario Wonder in
Yeah.
our universe.
At time of recording, Mario Wonder does not exist. Yeah, I remember. I told him, I'm like, this is great. Like, it's fun. You know, like you can get through it kind of quick because the levels aren't super long. Everything I basically said was a positive ended up being like a negative.
Negative.
Something that I actually just like didn't end up liking the second time. And I have no idea what changed.
Yeah. Let's go into probably the biggest complaint in just section of this podcast. Player 2. It is just not a co-op game.
So, yes. And that links back. We can tie this back into Geonosis like we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Player 2 has nothing
To
to do when the other player is fighting the monsters, except
Yes.
maybe like run around and punch some guards that die in 2 hits.
Yeah.
But literally, there would be points, like I said, like we were talking about with the droids, when your segment is not happening, or like when it's not your turn to do something, just pull out your phone. That's what we do. We literally, I would look over, I would ask Jake a question. He'd be like, "What?" And I'd look over, he's on his phone, and I'm like, I don't even blame you because this is like he's not doing anything on his side of the screen.
Nope.
And also, it really felt like I don't understand why they had to change from the format of the older games, especially if you're in a level. I get
Yeah.
if you're doing the open free roam part, but like the split screen was so bad.
So bad. Yeah.
So bad. And
it
the
just-
way they frame it in the boss fights like made it so difficult to see anything.
And it just, that was like the thing that makes me feel like this was not intended to have co-op. Like the way I described it to my brother-in-law was, it felt like they completed the game. The developers are like popping the champagne. They're excited. They're ready to ship it. And someone comes in, like their supervisor, and is like, okay, cool. Where's co-op? And then they were like, what? What do you mean co-op? And then they just, oh, split screen, and we're gonna put some random general in this Yoda versus Palpatine fight in the Senate building.
That was so weird. And I know, like, I recognize that character. He was like Padme's personal guard. But I'm like, this dude was not here.
No,
And
just
then-
make us 2 Yodas or something. Just
yeah.
like,
Or
I
one
don't
of the
know.
jet. Like, if you're gonna change stuff around,
yeah,
like, just make it so that like I can play as one of those Jedi.
yeah.
Like, it doesn't really matter.
Like, it doesn't have to be perfect story. Like, just make it different, that it's still good and makes sense, and maybe you can, like, once it gets to the cutscene, it more fits the actual movie.
mm-hmm.
But like, I'm just sitting there as little bro guy with gun, and you're being Yoda fighting off Palpatine. Like, I'm just sitting there doing nothing because it's not like I can actually do anything against Palpatine.
Yeah.
If I shoot him, he's just gonna block it.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point?
That was the other part that was ridiculous, is when it would like I would get into like a saber lock with a character, or you would
Mhm.
get into a saber lock, or
Yeah.
one of those like you
The
press the
spam-
Y.
yeah,
Yeah, like
spam Y.
the button mashing like parry
Yeah.
flurry thing. I would just shoot him, or I'd start punching him, or the other person would start doing that, and it would just completely take you out of that mechanic. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what? Like, really? That was not like thought out at all.
No.
Or like I'd try to shoot General Grievous, or you would. I'm like, oh, shoot him, do some damage
Yeah.
to him, and it literally was just you would hit him. He wouldn't deflect it.
Mhm.
You just see dink dink because it would just do no damage.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is ridiculous. I
And
felt bad during those sections.
yeah, like there were several points where he would just disconnect his controller because I think day 2 I had player 1, and you would just disconnect, so I would have the full screen in sections where it actually made sense, because, like,
Mhm.
arguably the best part, I mean, it's my favorite part of any Star Wars anything, is the fight of Obi-Wan versus Anakin at the end of Revenge of the Sith,
Oh, yeah.
and I am just sitting there as R2-D2 and 3PO, and I can swap between them, and that is it. I think I flipped, like, one switch, something like that. Like, why am I there? I would rather you just take me out, because I would rather be dying Padme back by the ship, because there's just no point for little bro to be there.
Yeah. I think at that point I gave you the controller because I gave you player one because I
Yeah.
was like, dude, I was like, you're gonna have so much more fun with this than I am right now because I'm just upset at
Yeah.
how the gameplay is unfolding before me. Again, the story was good, the voice acting was good, the
Yeah.
jokes were good, the writing was good. It
Solid.
just it really the gameplay pacing was so off, especially in that first trilogy. It really felt like you didn't have anything to do.
Yeah.
And, like, you just felt bad for the other person while you were sitting there
Yes.
playing. Like, it wasn't fun. It
No.
was not fun.
Especially as a co-op experience. Like, I don't even think if it was just me playing the game, I don't think I would have had a better experience. Maybe a little bit, but I
Mhm.
still would have not wanted to complete the game. I I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I had a better experience with Ocarina of Time. I enjoyed that game.
Wowie, wowie.
Yeah. Like, I love that game now. I Give me Ocarina of Time 3D. The thing that just doesn't make sense to me is, I mean, I don't know what the, like, actual review scores were of this game, but I heard amazing things when it came out. It got me to buy it freaking twice, for some
Oof.
reason, and we didn't even play one of my copies, we played it on Game Pass, so my copies are useless, so if you wanna buy it on Switch or on PS5, hit me up. I want to offload them. I'll probably keep one copy,
I
but
mean, it's $20 at, like, Target
yeah,
right
it's
now.
regularly, like, $20 or less.
I wanna look at what the review scores were.
Then I'll
Um,
talk about, player 2 more while you look that up, because my notes are, "I'm really just here. Player 2 is Lil Bro." And then I said, "Almost no combat until episode 3," because it's just like there were so many points where it's just stretched out in the story for absolutely no reason. Like, I know that we go to Kashyyyk for, like, 5 seconds in Revenge of the Sith, but there is an entire mission with Chewbacca and the other one, and it's just like, that's okay, but it was just kinda like mini platforming segment with Yoda and Wookiees. And it's like, why are we here? What There's no significance to this section, and there really wasn't a ton of significance to that part of the movie,
mhm.
IMO. Like, yeah, world building story, whatever. But it's so short in the movie and so long in this game for no reason.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Grievous fight, but, like, that's fine to stretch out because it's the boss fight with General Grievous. That's the only time he shows up throughout the entire game. He is only in the mission to beat him. That's
Was he not
it.
I think he was in a cutscene after you fight Count Dooku. A lot of the game is I have it written down. I wrote down the order in which it happens. Walk, cutscene, walk to another cutscene, then you get to walk to a spot to play the level, which is too short. So then you're back to walking to a place to watch a cutscene, which then lets you walk to another place to watch another cutscene to play a level that's too short.
Absolutely, like, I couldn't have said it better. Maybe with a little more anger, I don't know, but that was, like, I think that was something I explained to everybody I told, that when they asked me, "Oh, how'd it go?" I was
Horribly.
like, "We walked to cutscene, to walk to ship, to walk to cutscene, to fly the ship, to," like, that was probably the most annoying thing for me, was flying the ship, like, 5 feet just to
Oh,
travel to the planet.
Or the one where you have to just aim the ship at the place you want to land on.
Yeah.
Like they make you go through a loading screen to get to space to then tilt your ship 5 degrees to the left to then press A.
Yeah.
Or you can just hit the galaxy map and
You could fast travel a little bit.
Yeah, hit the galaxy map button and then mash the A button.
And then every time I tried to do the fast travel mechanic, it did not work for me. They're like, "Oh, that's not available right now, idiot." I think it's really cool setting up Coruscant as like the main hub world, and the hub worlds are cool. It's next gen, but just put me in the cantina so I can walk to the door to start the mission and just get it over with. Start the text crawl. Let's get it going.
But that's the collectathon aspect, and that's why I have like right here. It's heavily baked into the DNA of the game
But that's
because
not
they
even
want
like,
you to walk from place to place so that hopefully your eye will be caught by some interesting puzzle or mechanic that they've built into the hub
yeah.
world. So then you inflate your time playing the game by being like, oh, well, I need to collect these kyber bricks. These kyber bricks.
Freudian slip.
These kyber bricks to level up my skills in the skill tree. And I went through the skill tree.
Yeah.
Like, and I looked and I said, none of these skills are interesting enough to warrant me
Max
spending.
walk speed.
Max walk speed was the best one. The only other one other than that, I think, was faster building. Because I think at that point we were like, all right, we
for
just
the two things we build in the entire game.
Yeah, it's like we just need to get this done faster. We just need to get through this level.
Yeah. We were speed running to not have as much pain.
Yeah.
To limit the pain and
me.
suffering, we were speed running.
There's a lot to dislike about this game, and it's unfortunate because we were excited. We were actually like when we were getting started, like really excited to play like Lego Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because we both are huge Star Wars fans.
Yep.
I think that's what hurt me the most was that I had an experience with this game and I thought it was good. And then all of a sudden I was snapped back to reality and it was just pain. It was just more pain. But the prequel trilogy exacerbated them with the way those levels were designed.
Yeah.
The other levels, like in the original trilogy and even in the sequel trilogy, actually had more complicated mechanics that they introduced. So there was less of player 2 sitting around doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I'd say I wouldn't say it was rare. It still happened, but like you could still be doing stuff. But I will say, and this is to the game's credit, it actually does introduce more complex mechanics in the later levels and in the later trilogies.
Yeah.
And in the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy, I would say they still happened, but it was rarer to find a moment where player 2 literally felt like they could just completely check out. Aside from the boss fights, because those are interesting, but only for the first player.
Except
for the best moment in the game by far. Is that what you're talking? Is that what you're? Yeah. The best moment in the game by far is when you get to the end of Return of the Jedi. And obviously full spoilers if you haven't seen these movies. But if you haven't,
and full spoilers for the game if you haven't played it.
I mean, if you haven't,
and you probably won't want to play it.
If you haven't, you probably won't because of us. But if you played it this week, maybe you feel the same way we did.
Yeah.
The best moment was at the end of Return of the Jedi when Luke and Darth Vader have their second duel. Jake was Luke Skywalker and I was Darth Vader, and we went, wait, what? Like we're dueling right now? Oh, it was actually really cool. Like we were laughing. Obviously, Jake had to win, but I like got to be the boss.
I think you technically beat me both times as Darth, but they just give it to me because they can't let Luke die for the story.
Yeah. Well,
I don't think I ever actually completed your health bar. I think you beat me both times.
Well, I think what it was that your health bar regenerated. So even if I did technically kill you, mine didn't because I was the boss. So I just got to beat up on you a ton of times. Yeah. And then you eventually just took me out because that's just how the story had to go.
Yeah.
But that was highlight of the game. Like
100%.
Almost brought me back from the brink. Almost.
Yeah. It got us energized for the sequel trilogy. And then as soon as we get to Rey trying to collect all of the stuff for the food.
The 20 parts.
Why
was it 20 parts?
Why? Like, that's another perfect example of like, who saw The Force Awakens on that Lego team and was like, we need to make an entire section about collecting parts so she can eat and she doesn't end up eating anything because there's just another mission. Like, what? Why?
And it wasn't.
No new mechanics.
It was just so tedious.
Yeah. And
Yeah. Perfect. No new mechanics because they just did the
introduced
same-
BB-8 and
Yeah.
Rey.
just did the ball. They just put in the ball, which I actually like BB-8, but
Yeah.
that was who I got to play as during that mission. I got to be the ball who couldn't
Yep.
climb on anything.
Yes.
So like when you were struggling to complete a puzzle to collect a part, I was just sitting there in suffering because I was just like, oh my gosh, like I have to just wait until he figures this out.
The smile from being Darth was wiped away from your face.
Yeah. No, just like Anakin, any joy I felt was immediately overcome by my thoughts of pain.
Yeah. And like, okay.
It really made me feel like Darth Vader.
And that was another thing that really upset me with this game was like, it was so awesome having us fight each other for the boss fight. But why couldn't they just do that with every other boss fight?
Yeah.
Like,
I would have loved to have been Jango Fett.
I would have loved to have been Grievous, dude. He's one of my favorites. Darth Maul. Okay, that one works, though, because Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan versus Maul makes sense.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan and Anakin versus Dooku makes sense. But why can't I be Palpatine and you be Yoda? Why can't I be Obi-Wan and you're Grievous?
Yep.
Why can't you be Palpatine and I'm Rey? Like, what? Why? Why are you not Kylo Ren at any point in this game other than when he turns?
Actually, yeah, when he turns to the good side.
Yeah.
That was the other fun part of the boss fights, where you got to fight Palpatine and his guards, and I got to fight the Knights of Ren. That was cool.
We fought different thugs at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But then once it got to I'm blocking the lightning with the two lightsabers, I'm just sitting there spamming a button
While you're waiting
for you to catch up. I'm just spam because I have to keep up with it or else we'll die or something. And it's just like, they put him way too far back and now I'm waiting on him.
Yeah, I had to climb out of the pit just like Ben Solo did.
Just for it to end and we're like, finally, the pain is over.
Man, and I really wish I had more positive things to say about this game. I really wish I did because I like we said in the outset, I love Lego games, but this one really
was bad.
And it sucks to, I mean, you think about I read stories when this game came out how the developers were put under such crunch to finish this game. Like it was people literally didn't get to see their families for extended periods of time because they were working. And this is
the reason.
This is the reason.
Why?
And it's like, wow. It's like they had nowhere near enough time.
Yeah, no.
Nowhere near enough time. And that sucks. Because I don't think the developers set out to make this a game that isn't
well, like, okay, so
good.
I understand that The Force Awakens was a completely different game from the complete saga. But why not just make the sequel trilogy just like the complete saga and then just repackage it all, make it 1080 or 4K, whatever, just make it look good and redo the original games because that was so much better. Why, like, if you want to do the voice acting that you did, which was probably the best other than the Darth Vader fight, was the highlight of the game for me. I have a note. I would have just enjoyed watching all the cutscenes in order so much better.
Yeah.
Like, why couldn't you just add in a fully voice acted mode and then have the mumble mode? Just have original cutscenes and then, now they're funny, but with voice acting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why couldn't we just do that? Like, why? The game probably would have taken a lot less time to make because then you only have to do one new thing for one sequel trilogy. But then you just remaster the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy. Like, it just baffles me that they had to completely redo this thing. And I think more gamers would have liked it. It probably wouldn't be in the bargain bin like a year after release. Like the decisions that were made here, I don't understand.
Ended up the way it was because it looked so cool and like there was cool mechanics. I mean, it's kind of goofy that you end up playing like a third-person shooter in Lego, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it's kind of neat. Like to have a Lego game have more complex mechanics, especially mechanics that are used in a bunch of games all over the place. I
Mhm.
mean, like you could do air combos
Yeah.
and stuff, which were really, really cool.
Mhm.
When you got to do them, when the enemies didn't die like in 2 hits. And then I think in Return of the Jedi, there was like crafting. You crafted weapons and like different tools, like the
Yeah.
scavenger class, which that was interesting
Mhm.
to be like, oh, the Ewoks, because they crafted all the traps to beat the stormtroopers. It's like, now you get to use the,
The different
oh my gosh.
guns.
But all of this, I remember this too. All of the story serves is to unlock characters to then use in the collectathon portion in the hub worlds.
Yep.
That's all it goes back to, is just getting 100% on a menu screen.
Yeah. And for what? Like,
For
why? Like, he's like,
your gamer score goes up, but that's
that's
like,
that's another thing that
if you
doesn't
care
make
about
sense
that,
to me.
congratulations, this game's for you, but I don't.
I think I said this in a previous podcast, but like, what is the point nowadays of getting me to play the game more when there's so many games out there? Like, I understand that developers want us to play and enjoy the game. I understand that the studios want that. But is there, like, you don't make any more money if I play the game for 100 hours versus 20. Like, you don't make any more unless I'm buying DLC, which I guess if you want to buy all the characters, you're probably going to want to like the game to spend money. You already got my money. You already got my $60 twice. What do you need me to keep playing this game for when I don't enjoy it? Just make the game shorter but better.
Yeah.
And like, we're probably going to get criticism because at the end of the day, it is a child's game. This is Lego. It is meant for children, small children, but so were the original games. And
And
those were entertaining.
they're infinitely more fun.
So much better. It's like, it doesn't have to be a baby game for everybody to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it is, no one's going to enjoy it.
Well, Mario Wonder, like
That's
2D
still
Mario games are
for
bangers.
kids.
They have been for a long time. Super Mario Odyssey, Super Mario 64, I'd argue, is a kid's game, is a
Yep.
game made for children.
And it's hard enough to make me rage.
Yeah, and it's still hailed as one of the greatest games of all time. So
Yep.
simple doesn't have to be bad. It's all about the execution. And unfortunately, for the Skywalker Saga, I really feel like the focus was instead on padding out playtime with collectathons than
Yep.
really focusing on the levels themselves within the story of the movies. And I just don't understand how when you're doing a Star Wars game, you lose focus on the thing that draws people in, which is replaying the movies in
Yep.
Lego form and seeing the Lego spin on these movies.
That's all we want. We just want to play the movie.
That's all I want. I just want the Lego Star Wars movies.
I will say that even though it's still boring playing The Last Jedi, it was more enjoyable than the film. So
Yeah,
that's a
that's true.
positive.
Even Canto Bight, the Casino Planet.
Mm,
No, I mean you had that one prison guard section where you had to like put on the disguise.
where we were like really confused on what to do.
Yeah, like I mean, that's also because we're probably just stupid. But
we were so brain dead. Like, I have a whole note that it's like, it's hard to use brain after not using brain so much.
mm-hmm.
Like, it just, that's another part of like the baby game aspect, is like, it has to be so baby easy for the like 5-year-old kids that play this game. But when it's so dumbed down, you turn your brain off and then they give you something that you have to use your brain a little bit for, and it's hard to turn that back on.
It's like giving you a test you didn't study for.
Yeah.
Or like there was no. It's like giving you a test on information you had no idea was going to be on the test.
Yeah.
Like at no point they would introduce a mechanic or like you saw one. Like I don't think we even got to put on disguises until the beginning of the original trilogy.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh right, like the disguise mechanic, which is cool because then as a non-stormtrooper character, you could use like stormtrooper terminals and things like that. But even then, those puzzles were just like, all right, remember the sequence down, down, up, up. And the DDR terminal, too.
Yeah, the DDR. that was another thing I noticed immediately when playing the complete saga again. There's so many points in that game where you use R2D2 or C3PO or a stormtrooper or Jedi, whatever, to just open a door. And like, yeah, that can be annoying at some points, but like it actually makes sense now that 3PO and R2D2 are here, not to just annoy you. Also, speaking of R2D2, why can he not float? Where are his boosters? Why
Yeah.
why does he have a jump now and that's it?
Justice for R2D2.
Yeah. That like honestly was one of the most annoying things about this game for me. I loved playing as R2 in the original games, and now it's like, oh, well, I just have a hop, so he is significantly nerfed as a droid that can't do much in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
But I could beat the crap out of some people too. He had some actual combos in the game, which was kind of funny. Man,
And on the flip side, though, C3PO actually got like a mechanic where he can break apart and send like half of himself through like a little chute
yeah.
to do a puzzle, which I thought was cool. Obviously, again, simple game, so it's not a terribly in-depth mechanic. But I agree
Yeah.
with you. They messed with the formula in a way that I don't think it needed to be messed with.
Mm-mm.
And they like swapped things around and just again, like I said, just padded things out. And it's just unfortunate. It is unfortunate that it ended up that way because I really wanted to enjoy it.
Yeah, because like you said, both huge Star Wars fans. I mean, I really don't care about Lego in real life, but
Oh,
it,
Jake, you're gonna get in trouble.
I know, like it's cool. The people do cool things with it, but I don't really build with Legos. Never was as a kid. I like more the Mega Block stuff because I could make things that I could like fit in if I had a million of them.
You're a Mega Bloks kid.
I mean, I didn't really I still didn't really use them. I don't know if we. I
I
think
don't
we
know that
had
you
someone
should
when I was
say that on this
little.
podcast.
Yeah, I know there's a bad connotation with it, but if anything, we probably had a knockoff brand of that anyways. Sorry, Mom, I love you. But
Connects.
Connects. That sounds familiar. That's like reaching something in my brain. But
It tickled something.
yeah.
Yeah. Go look it up when you get home. You might
Okay.
remember something. I had those too. I was a Lego kid. I like Legos. I still like Legos. I mean, I have a Lego Captain Rex sitting on
Yeah.
my entertainment center.
It's cool. It's just like, I don't know. I'd rather have done Lego building sessions than play this game
Yeah,
because there's
it
actually
is more fun.
again, there's no building in this game. There's you can count the times you build things on your hands. There's I don't understand why this was even a Lego game other than Lego people had the license. Like
Yeah.
this could have been a better game if they just w- completely forgot Lego and just made it more of a regular Star Wars game. Like could you imagine if you played through the movies in the style of Fallen Order and stuff? Like actual long story mode with good action stuff.
Yeah, it might have made the movies good.
Oh man, I
The sequel trilogy anyway.
I would love to do that. Now that I've popped that into my head, that would be. I mean, there's so many times where I just want to play the movie. Like I love movies. I'm a huge movie buff, but half the reason why I like story games in general is because I'm playing the main character in a movie.
Mhm.
Like I'm playing through the movie and it's longer, but it's still a good story. I don't know, man. It just I could go on and on about how bad this game is. I could fill the time it takes to travel from the speeder to Coruscant to traveling to the cutscene, to traveling to outer space, to traveling to the
And then
planet.
boosting to the little level marker
Yeah,
out in space.
to watch a cutscene to maybe play the game for 5 seconds.
I will say another part actually, just to break up the Debbie Downer, like this game's bad
What do
vibe
you
we got go. What are you
mean?
talking about? The ship flying was fun. Those sections were
Yes.
fun.
Yes.
It
That was probably the best missions. Were
yeah.
shooting things with
We
the
were shoot
gun.
yeah, yeah. Except for when man, I'm about to go right back into it, but except for when they would do the stupid thing where it was okay, you get to control where we
Yeah.
fly, and then I get to control where we shoot. Because I'm not kidding you. So we were already just like knee deep in the pain, right?
Yes.
Because we're
Brains gone.
brain's gone. There were sections where like a TIE fighter would fly on the screen, and I had it locked on, and I just needed like an extra split second, and you would go the opposite direction, and I was like, I'm gonna scream at you. I'm gonna scream because it's like it's right there. Just go towards the red air. It's right there. But I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm not the one
Yeah.
flying. It's totally fine. That was another section where once we got to it and player one, I was like, nope, I'm dropping out. I am dropping out of co-op because I can't do it anymore. This is not a well thought out mechanic.
Specifically in The Force Awakens, towards the end, at least when you're leaving is it Tatooine?
When you're leaving Jakku.
Jakku.
Yeah, when Rey and Finn get on the
Yes.
Millennium
There is
Falcon.
not
Because it's
enough
there for some
space.
reason.
There is not enough space
Oh my
to
gosh.
fly in there. And there are TIE fighters everywhere.
Oh my god.
And I'm just trying to like stay within the bounds of the game, but also not hit the ships that it's like, what was it? A Star Destroyer that was like in the ground?
Yeah, it was a crash Star
And it's
Destroyer.
just
And
like-
she's like, I know I'm going too high, sorry.
Yeah, she's like, stay low, stay low. I was like, I can't go low because I'm gonna crash because there's no room for me to fly around in this thing. And then Jordan's upset because he can't shoot anything because I
Mhm.
can't stay in one
Which means
place
this
long
level's
enough.
dragging out, and we've already
Yes.
we've got 2 more movies after this. So I'm like, we need to get through this level so that we can figure this out. We need to get through this section so that we can continue playing the game, not figure this out. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore.
Yeah, like my headache because we both had headaches at the end of this play session
Oh my gosh.
to the point like it's coming back. I think my body is
The
just so
stress.
used to being stressed out, like the pain that we gain from this game. It's coming back. It's like when you chew gum when you're studying and you chew the same gum during the test and you remember it magically. It's
Is that a thing?
yeah.
I did not know that.
It's I don't know if it's like a real thing, but like
No, that makes
studies have
sense.
shown that it helps.
Well, it's like, have you ever smelled a smell
That smells smelly.
that smells one of them smelly smells that smells smelly, but
Mhm.
like it'll unlock a memory?
Yeah.
I guess it's a similar thing.
Well, they also say that about like listening to music. If you listen to the same music when you're taking the test as you did when you studied,
What if I just listen to a song that tells me all the answers?
the song that goes beep boo boo bop.
Boo boo bop.
Yeah.
Beep boo boo bop.
I've heard of people cheating on exams. That I'm not. If there's any kids still in school, I'm not saying that this is something you should do. But I've heard of people that would make playlists if they were allowed to listen to music, where the next song in the playlist would be the answer. It'd be like a mnemonic device for like a B C D C B A, all the answers.
What?
Yeah.
Well, you'd have to like have the answer key.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those flying sections when we were both in our own independent ships and we were able to fly around, like the Death Star trench run, that was fun.
Yeah. That was fun for a bit.
The Force Awakens, anything basically where you got to fly around. But then they skipped over the Return of the Jedi flying into the Death Star the second
That's
time.
exactly what I was about to bring up. Like, that's one of my favorite parts of the complete saga is getting to fly out after you destroy the core of the Death Star. And like, if he was shooting while I was flying, then we probably would have hated it. But if we could have just flown 2 separate ships out of there, it would have been fun. A cool little mission. Would have been a lot better than a lot of the missions in the game. But I don't know, man.
There's one that I will not forgive them for changing, and they changed the pod racing section. I literally believe they should have copy and pasted the one from the original game
Yeah.
into this game, because the one in the original game was hard.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you got to
No,
play it again.
I didn't really play a ton of the original or the prequel trilogy, so I don't
Dude,
really remember it.
Because you had sections that were timed, so
Mhm.
you had to get to the next
Like
checkpoint.
checkpoint. Yeah.
within the
it's
time
like
limit.
in the Incredibles game when you're Dash and you're
And you have to
running
get
through
to
the city. And you're trying to
you-
get to school on time. Yeah.
basically, yeah, similar vibes. So you have to hit the certain boosts. The pod racing section was so much worse, harder to control because they made it in first person. And then we're trying to play it co-op, so I have half the amount of
Yeah.
screen that I normally would trying
I'm
to
just
play
racing
this game.
because like I'm just there.
Uh-huh.
Like why not? You can race 2 in a completely separate ship and potentially ruin the storyline by winning.
But yeah, but I have to and I am also trying to race because I have to get first place because I'm
Yeah.
Anakin. Like I
Mhm.
have to win, otherwise, I stay a slave. Mini kits in this game, there were parts of the level where you would be allowed to progress, like when you're building something. One of like the 2 times you do it in the game, you get to choose. You can either build like a rocket launcher, or you can build like a battering ram or something like
Yeah.
that. And then you would pick whichever way you wanted to go. Sometimes there'd be a mini kit there, but a lot of them too, everything you did was to collect kyber bricks in the levels so that you could then unlock stuff and skills in the skill tree, which would then help you collect things in the open world. I
Yeah.
cannot stress that enough, how much the collectathon aspect bogs down this game.
And it's like it's so focused on post game stuff, but like when you're doing a game that is like they gave you the script. Like George Lucas and Kathleen Kennedy is given Lego Star Wars the script.
Just play the game. Just do my movies again. Yeah.
Yeah. And you still are just like, okay, we're on easy mode right now. We don't have to actually, I mean, they write a bunch of jokes for it, but we don't have to do a ton of writing for the section. Let's make sure we can speed through this as much as possible and focus on the other stuff, the extras that is boring.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But there is something that is neat. If you select, like if you are playing the post game, this is cool. Fun little Easter eggs. They will have characters who have history in the movies like interact with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you need 2 characters, like you pick Anakin and then you pick Darth Maul or something, or you pick Obi-Wan and Darth Maul. They'll talk to each other. Like the characters in the hub world will talk to each other and like have a little banter. I don't think it happens with the DLC characters. So like you could have Ahsoka with her white lightsabers in there talk to Darth Vader, and I don't think there's a mention of anything that happened like in Rebels or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, they did this thing, but they didn't quite take it far enough.
No.
Like they implement things, but they don't quite go far enough to make it fun. It just feels dull.
And it's like we wanted to like this game. Like we really did, being the Star Wars fans we are, being the Lego game fans we are. But it makes me sad that they spent so much time, so much crunch on this game, and this is what we get. Like if you were crunching and it was an amazing game, then maybe it'd be worth it, but
Yeah.
it's not. Like I apologize to the developers because
I'm sure you all worked
probably
very
wasted
hard.
time in your life.
Oh, man. Pain. It's just pain. It's the pain saga.
Yeah.
Because all war is pain, as we know. Even a Star War.
This game was like sand. It's
gotten into every part of my body and
irritating,
rough, and it gets everywhere.
It gets everywhere.
They did make that joke quite a few times, and I will say it was funny pretty much every time they did it.
Yeah.
Like they knew they had the jokes that were funny and they knew which ones to hit.
Yeah.
The writing is pretty, like go watch the cutscenes.
Yeah.
Just go watch the cutscenes again.
Don't play the game.
It's
just watch
pretty
the
funny.
cutscenes.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
It's good
like
stuff.
Even then there wasn't really a ton of funny things that happened in the gameplay. Like when we were in control, there wasn't that much funny stuff going on.
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking about the milk scene in The Last Jedi, and then I just had a horrible flashback to when we had to follow Luke.
Oh my gosh, they did the NPC follow quests and they did them the worst.
And every time it was with Luke in that whatever island that is.
Octo was the planet, yeah.
And I just like, why do we have to stay with him? He walks so slow.
He walked slow,
Why?
and then you could not run ahead of him and run to the checkpoint. If you got too far from him,
he just stops.
He just stops. Like some games will literally limit the speed you are allowed to walk so that you don't have to worry about being faster than the NPC while they're having a conversation. It's kind of immersion breaking when I have to stop and wait for them to catch up and then walk forward and stop and wait for them to catch up. I've always loved in games where they've started like slowing you down so that you can just keep up and listen to the dialogue.
Yeah.
This game did not do that in sections where it really needed it.
Like,
you followed Luke for way too long.
It could have just been a cutscene. When we have maxed out speed stat, why is it not just a cutscene?
Yeah.
If you're going to make us go extra slow with all of the speed we just unlocked. Like, we're playing the game your way. unlocking things in the stupid skill tree, and you punish us.
It's just pain. It's just pain. I'm sorry, everybody, that this episode is kind of a negative.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bummer.
We're not going to lie to you and be like, no, this game was great.
Yeah.
It was not a fun experience for us at all. We spent 2 days. We were in the same room playing this game together.
Right here.
And I thought it being our first co-op game would make it more fun. It really seemed to do the opposite.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll rethink that in the future. But first game at time of recording.
Yeah, at time of recording. We
I
know
keep
that
forgetting.
Super Mario Wonder was the last episode for you guys, but we're just hoping that goes better.
That's my biggest note. I literally just wrote like the last 5 lines is just game is bad. You probably won't see that because it's whited out by the light, but
I will say, I think even though things have taken a while to be produced, this is probably our first episode without any merch tie-in. By the time this comes out, we should have our Zelda and Metroid and Pikmin merch and Spider-Man merch. I don't know if we'll have anything for Wonder. We'll see.
I wonder if we will.
Yeah, because we haven't played that yet, so we don't know if there's anything we can make funny reference about.
I mean, there's Elephant Mario.
Yeah,
that's kind of it.
We could probably find something. We're internet funny men now.
Are we?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I've been at least I'll categorize myself as that. So go check out the merch, retroremastered.com.
Some of those is the Zelda stuff going to be up there? You think?
Yeah, Zelda stuff should be up there.
Zelda stuff was designed by wonderful artist Micro20, who's also my brother.
Yeah. Shout out.
Phenomenal. He did a phenomenal job.
So good. Like that is exactly what went through my head during the Ganon fight.
Yeah. The Master Sword also being a ping pong paddle with also its little Triforce engraving on it was just the chef's kiss that I expected from him because I knew he'd do something great like that. So buy a shirt or two, get one for a friend or a loved one. It makes a great holiday present. So
now that we've got our promo out of the way, anything else we want to say about Lego Star Wars?
It's free on Game Pass, so if you really want to try it and tell us that we're wrong. If you find something in it that we didn't,
us wrong, please.
Please do. Please tell me something that I missed or that Jake missed that would have made this more enjoyable. Because we're disappointed.
Yeah.
We're not mad. We're just disappointed. So just go try it on Game Pass. Shameless plug for Xbox.
You should probably just play the complete saga instead because
that is also on Game
Pass.
So play them both, see which one you like better, and then let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Helps out the channel quite a bit, so we can give tithes to the algorithm god.
But the last thing I want to say to close out this episode was, I don't know if you remember on our episode 0 podcast, we posed the question. I asked you, what was the worst game that you've ever beaten? For me, that is now this game.
Wow.
Yes.
That's incredible. So it was really that bad. You feel that much differently about Ocarina of Time in retrospect.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Glorious game.
Yeah. Man. See what it does, people? You know what? If Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga had to be sacrificed so Jake could like Ocarina of Time, I think it was all worth it.
The Skywalker Saga.
Is that what I said?
You said the complete saga. We don't want to sacrifice that.
No,
game.
Oh my gosh, no. The complete or not the complete saga, the Skywalker Saga. You know, that's just how stupid that name is.
Yeah.
And that's not even the game's fault. That's the fault of Lucasfilm.
Kathleen Kennedy.
Hey, we're not going to pick a fight with Kathleen Kennedy because she is still in control.
Don't ban us from
We love
Star
you,
Wars
Dave.
Land. Yeah. We love you.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I think that's it for this one.
We'll get a review code for Star Wars Outlaws, man.
Yeah. I honestly don't even want to play that.
Ubisoft.
It doesn't. Yeah, I just don't want to play a Ubisoft game. Yeah, I think that's really it because I don't have anything else positive. I really didn't have anything positive to say about this game, and I'm just